I love your message for sure. Really glad you're able to join us. Just this whole thing has been just crazy since the beginning. It's starting to blow my mind a little bit, so I had to go put on a blazer, and so.
Well, you look sharp.
Oh, that was my quick outfit change. Wait till I really get it. So it'll be good to go.
The hat's great.
Y'all leave me alone, okay? Go ahead, Michael.
I was just saying, I love the hat, man.
Oh, you do? Stop
yeah.
it.
No, I love it.
I like your hat too. It's like, what hat? Yeah,
What?
I don't have any hair. So, yeah, you know you like that. Anyway, so with that said, what does everybody feel? Because I know we all have particular marching orders that we're building out, right, internally. You always say, when this turns or when we get out of this lockdown, these are the moves I'm taking, right? And everybody's different. You know, I've been out there learning how to make a fire with my bare hands for the last month, you know? And so everybody's, stuff they got going is different. But what's you guys' marching orders, and it doesn't have to go to any particular person, you guys can fill in. I just want to know where everybody's at in terms of what's your like top 3 things moving forward that you want to do personally, not necessarily business-wise or to make money, but what's some personal improvements that everybody's looking at making?
I think human connection. I think getting out and going back to, being with our friends and family, I think is really important. That's one of the reasons why we started Jennifer Axel, which is my co-founder and work wife, why we were set on a phone line first, because we need that human connection, and we've lost that. And I think that's what's really important on a personal level, is to get back to seeing everyone, feeling comfortable talking outside, and connecting.
I agree. I like that. Are we in the chat here? Somebody trying to get in? Oh, man.
I think it's fair to say that everybody we're talking to, and all of my friends that I talk to here, everybody has this sense that there is going to be changes. It's not going back to be like it was.
Dakta, let me interrupt you for 1 second. Andrew, are you taking off?
I think she already took off.
Did she? Okay. I was trying to catch her before I say bye. Go ahead, Dakta.
Like my hat.
Oh, nice. Good stuff. Go ahead, Dakta.
My point was that there is a sense in the world that when we come out of this, and we will come out of it, it can't go back to being the way it was. Somebody said earlier that they seem to have used some time to catch up with things. And sometimes you're always running too fast. You've got to run harder and harder in order to stay still. And now this has allowed people to just stop for a moment and take a breath and reconsider. And I hope from my perspective that there is going to be a new direction, that we do learn something as a species, as humankind, be more kind. Our Prime Minister makes a thing of that, be kind. This is a difficult time for everybody, be kind. We can all live with a philosophy like that, I think. So I hope we're going to go somewhere new. Certainly I'm having a fascinating time meeting all these new people around the world. It's just fantastic.
Well, we call Bud kind. Kind is our nickname for Bud. I don't know if you do that down there, but.
Oh, no. I didn't know.
Kind Bud, kind, the kind.
Okay.
Yeah, especially coming up in the West Coast, where we'll be in about 25 minutes here. The California, that's the kind. It's the home of the kind.
That'd be a dope company. That'd be a dope name. Kind Dak, right? That's what y'all call it down there, right? Dak.
Yeah, Kind Dak. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Ooh.
Kind Dak.
Yeah. Dibs. No, that's us guys. We'll split it evenly. So that's good stuff. Anything else you want to put out there in terms of feelers, any connections or anything like that, that you want to have out there? My camera, I'm sorry. Boom.
There you
are. Is there anything else that you wanted to put out there in terms of what we need to know or contacts or anything?
Yeah, for me, that would, I would love if anyone and everyone shared our free resource to all their family and friends, leave411.org. Our phone number, our free toll-free phone number is on our website, 844-LEAVE411. Like I said, we want to keep this little engine running. this, and always free to the public. So, if anyone, wants to know of anyone to help continue our funding, that would be awesome. And just awareness. We're trying to bring awareness to this wonderful plant and share that and guide people to have positive experiences. And so that way they know exactly how to use it, and give them resources like cannabis clinicians that are also functional medicine we have on our site. It's really wonderful. So yes, so thank you, Martell, again, for allowing us to come talk about our organization.
Yeah, for sure. I know just in the chat right now, there's two like-minded people. I know Al left before he got here, and so did Mary Lynn. But I know they'll probably be in contact. I know Dre wants to be in contact. And all we have is a gluttony of experience here. So we got some pretty high-ranking members. And so let's see what we can do in the future for sure.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm sorry Mary Lynn isn't here. Mary Lynn was pretty much singularly responsible for the nurses associations coming out with resolutions over the last 10 or 20 years that were pretty spectacular.
She's a beast mode, yeah.
I heard her earlier. She is a pioneer, and all of our nurses are part of the American Cannabis Nurse Association, and that she talked about earlier. So we're like, yay. And it's supposed to be the year of the nurses. Little did we know how much nurses were going to be, at the forefront right now. But we're going to carry it on in cannabis for sure.
Nice. Good stuff. Awesome.
So what have you got so should we ask our typical questions? Like, what have you got for your top COVID advice and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. A lot of what we got, it's crazy. We saw the change in calls coming through right when COVID hit. The first questions coming through were, can I get COVID from my packaging? I've had these edibles in my home for, a few weeks now, and can I catch it? And then it became more of a concern. Well, I hear that maybe you shouldn't take CBD because it's an anti-inflammatory, and they're saying not to use ibuprofen. And now it's kind of evolved. We've seen this evolution. And now it's, well, I hear that maybe we should refrain from inhaling and maybe try an edible or something to keep our lungs clear. And that's exactly, all those points are exactly what we talk about. Is wanting to keep those lungs pristine just for right now. Inhaling is a wonderful method for breakthrough pain, for breakthrough PTSD episodes. We know for anxiety, it's a wonderful way to hit that system fast and exit that system fast. But right now, because COVID attacks your lungs so viciously, we really try to promote to see if we can put that aside, except for those breakthrough experiences, and try to rely on something that we swallow first and see if we can save those lungs right now until we get a better handle on this virus. But inhalation, is key for a lot of people that are trying to treat those illnesses that have those breakthrough issues.
Hello?
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Dakta.
Sorry, I was just saying I've been trying to promote breathing for a long time.
Breathing is key.
Dak, I got a book
I
I'm going to
find
send
is
you.
quite useful.
Yeah, it is. Breathwork is a thing. I've been doing breathwork for about the last 2 weeks now, and it's really kind of changing my life, like slowly and surely. I can see an improvement every time because there's a lot of ways that we breathe that we don't even account for. And I have asthma, so I breathe out and in it really often. And for me, just being conscious of my breath and being aware of my breath and mastering those two things, I find myself now when I'm exerting energy, stopping and realizing if I was breathing consistent here, A, I'd be distracted from the amount of energy I'm exerting. My body would energize itself naturally. And B, I would be having a better time with it. I wouldn't be so worried about, am I going to have an asthma attack because I'm overworking myself. It's usually come from bad breathing. I think I give myself most of my small bouts with asthma because it's really acute as far as how sporadic it is. And so I think I give myself most of those bouts just from not breathing right when I'm doing work,
Right,
So,
right.
I tell you, you've got a light shining into the camera.
I'm Jesus. You didn't know?
You're flaring.
It's his halo. It's his halo.
Yeah. It's called aura.
Now I can see you, Angel. I can see you now.
It's called aura. Heard of it much? God. No, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know, Dak. I appreciate that. Now I'm looking real good. So that's how we do it. Look, this is what we're gonna do, guys. We need to smoke some. We need to smoke some stuff.
We have someone that's joined us,
Hey.
I believe. Is Sandy on the
That's-
line or
Andy?
trying to get on?
Let me see. See if she's muted.
She might be muted.
We'll see if she's muted.
She's muted.
Sandy
she
She's
has
not
is.
joined.
muted now.
Is she here? Sandy?
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 20.
Nice. I like that. Okay. Casper's up and awake. That's good. I can't see her.
Oh, really? Casper's up. All right.
That's good. Sandy?
I actually had a conversation I really never expected to have the other day on an email list where a very knowledgeable person in the cannabis movement, was talking about basically something that Al said earlier, which was not, refutable, that we had this long-term studies, Dr. Tashkin and others have looked at lung function and found no diminishment of lung functions, no appreciable damage to health from using cannabis. That number one was over 30-40 years, and number two was low grade at that, and high amounts of low grade. And but I said back, talking to Dr. Tashkin, looking at his research, learning from him directly, he was pretty concerned about what he saw from just a cannabis smoker all alone, just smoking cannabis, nothing else. You did cause a lot of noticeable change inside the lungs, where these little tiny hairs called the cilia were just wiped out like a desert, just wiped out. And I don't have any science on that to tell you what the risk factors are. And you'd have to balance that with the use of cannabinoids in your system, and balancing that with, anxiety and things like that, that untreated could cause, problems to go up. So there's so many different graphs overlaying each other. But I just didn't want him to discount that very real thing. We're not like the opposition. We're not just trying to cherry pick things to, prove our point. We're looking at things objectively, like Casper said, honestly, here on Time for Hemp. And honestly, smoking cannabis all by itself does do damage to the lungs, changes in the lungs that I would think logically would put you at a greater risk. Definitely wouldn't want to change your behavior to put you in a bind where you're at risk for suicide, or at risk for such horrible pain, that you take more opiates. These are not acceptable alternatives. So you have to balance these things as a patient. And there's going to be a lot of patients that are still going to smoke, like she said, Catherine. So I think, I think it's something that we as cannabis, advocates, cannabis, in the industry, I think we need to own, what little there are of very negative side effects with cannabis, and really understand those. And I don't think the rank and file movement has done well enough with that. Honestly.
When you're pushing an agenda, it's hard to push your agenda and then something that is going to take back, as you look at it as a step backwards, even though it's just truth. It's just a step, right?
Yeah,
like it's not. Yeah. It's whether going this way or that way. If we build with that consciously in mind, then that's a step forward, right? Even if it seems like a detriment, a step back, as long as it's content and we're intentful in doing that, we're being responsible. And responsible is what we're all about. Responsible cannabis users, I think that's a great point that you made. People don't like to bring up negative shit. You know what I mean? It's not even negative. It's just shit. Is
Casper up?
Yeah, he's up. I don't know if he's getting on yet. Let me see.
Because we're 15 minutes away. We're 15 minutes away from California 420.
I'll text him.
Like the most important one in the world, according to him.
Yeah. But no, Gage, that was beautifully said. I think it is important because no matter what, anything you put into your lungs is going to be a bronchial irritation. So we have to just be aware of that. The compounds of the plant have a lot of benefits. But we just have to make ourselves aware. And like you said, balanced information is key. We always want to give balanced information for people to be able to make those decisions, educated decisions on their own.
Nice. Well, that's good stuff for sure. So everybody has your contacts. Obviously, I'm going to put out a little follow-up to this whole thing where I have all the brands that we're supposed to be on. So I have you listed in there as well too. And then we'll look for next time we're doing an event to correlate as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you from Colorado. Everybody should come out here. It's a beautiful state. We're all very friendly and welcoming. And we have a great cannabis
Until the
industry.
virus is dead and gone.
Exactly.
I
We'll
might
wait
get
till
to
then.
tomorrow because my ski pass got jacked this year. They just killed it. So
Yeah, I know. Those mountain towns are suffering right now, but we'll have to just make it out. But thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys soon.
all right.
Thanks for visiting with us.
Bye.
Much love for Colorado and the whole mountain time frame, mountain time zone.
Man, that was just a slew of powerful women that you stopped through here, man. You know,
Oh yeah.
that was what that was meant to be. And I miss Sonia in my sleepiness. She's probably mad at me. I miss Sonia in my.
Sonia didn't stay long because there was an accident at her home.
Yeah. She had mom
Daughter,
duty.
tripped over something and hurt herself, so she had to go deal with that. So she was only with us briefly.
Okay.
And Sandy has joined us, but she's having trouble with her microphone and video.
Let me see if there's anything on my end.
We got a chat from her.
Did you? Okay. I see Gary here. I see Sandy. All I see is a mic. Does she have video set up?
I don't know. Nothing
see the
much we
mic.
could do, I don't think, to help her from here.
No.
7:07. We're coming up on 13 minutes to the next time zone. This is an interesting time zone. We've got some friends up in Canada in this time zone, I believe.
There's only one person in this time zone to actually lead us to this time zone, and he's still asleep.
Wake up,
no,
Casper.
he's walking the dog now. I was like, you should have waited 7 minutes.
Oh, that's okay.
He's
But,
walking his dog.
If he misses on 420, like, oh, that's gonna be terrible.
If he if he misses his own 420 because he's walking the dog,
Walking the dog.
he won't be happy about walking the dog.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny that I miss my own 420. He misses his. It's almost appropriate, you know. Dak, you should have missed yours too, but you had the first one, so it's hard to miss it.
Oh, and the last one. Remember that.
Oh, yeah. So you
The last
definitely
one I
know.
might miss. This is hard work staying awake, I got to tell you.
You wouldn't know anything about it.
It's after
Whoa.
11 o'clock in the morning here.
We're approaching the end of the world.
So we've hit 22 now? Coming up on it? 23? No, we got a couple hours left.
No. 5. We've done 19 hours. 19.
Okay. And so we in 19 hours,
on
we've
the
had
official
everybody stop by here, man. 19 hours, we went from being really emotional at the forefront where we were just really just pounding at home and hanging out with each other, right? And having people just start to drop by, bring donkers, then just flows through. We had the whole 7 o'clock bid that had everybody at it. I mean, it was just ridiculous with Tony, for Reed. Oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. And then
We've had some wonderful people that I've met, names that I've known for the 20 years that I've been campaigning. It's just been marvelous.
Yeah.
But I tell you what needs to happen, and I'll talk to you about this after the event's over, but it would be nice if we had something that wasn't broadcast, that the people that have actually participated in this, if we could find a time, I don't mind getting up at 3 in the morning in order to join somebody at 3 in the afternoon their time. If we could just get everybody together. I don't know how many guests that you've organized and our friends from down in this area. If we could all just come together at the same time and meet some of us that we haven't seen each other because we've been traveling through time zones. But, what have we got? 50 people or 100 people that have come through our program. I'm not talking about the public. This is not about people that are watching what's going on, but there's been some, you've brought on campaigners and people that have got so much knowledge and understanding of what this campaign has been like around the world. And we can learn so much from our heroes, because in many cases, we've been meeting our heroes today. And that's nice that people that are prominent in the campaign can also have their heroes in the campaign, because nobody thinks of themselves as being overly special, and yet we are.
Hey,
we do take a leading role, and it would be nice to be able to, in a world sense, come together and have that conversation, just as a Zoom meeting without any agenda to it.
Yeah.
One,
I
one
like
one
it,
of
like-
my, hey, listen, one of my personal heroes is on the line. Sandy Burbank is having trouble with her video and she can't talk, but she sent a little note to read. And Sandy is in this time zone where we're coming in up on 420 on the West Coast. She's up in Oregon, and the absolute beautiful country out there to the east of Portland, Oregon, about a couple hours, just in gorgeous, beautiful country out there in Oregon. And she writes MAMA, which is Mothers Against Misuse and Abuse, kind of an alternative to the DARE program. Really good stuff. Working about substances, looking at substances on an individual basis instead of blanket statements and misinformation. She says MAMA has worked for years to try to teach people how to evaluate the benefits and risks of all drugs. Yet there's been little interest in harm reduction education. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission, OLCC, is not only in charge of alcohol sales, but also controls cannabis sales. So far, no one is interested. She's not able to speak, but she is listening. She wants to give hugs to everybody and a happy 420 from up there where she is. She says some of the nicest people she's ever met in this life are folks fighting for the right to use cannabis. Those people are our best friends. And love and hugs to you, Sandy. You are one of our favorite people. I remember one of my most classic scenes in my entire activist career. I was sitting there with Lennis Worth, who was on earlier, and Lennis and I were learning from Sandy how to manage this incredible amount of information that we were going to present to legislators. And she taught us to follow a role, to have a very distinct role. So if I was with Lennis and we're going to meet a legislator, what she suggested played out to, like, I would speak from my distinct role. Like, let's say I was speaking as a patient, I would only talk about patient stuff. If she was talking about the law and the policy, she would talk about policy stuff. And by staying in that lane, so to speak, it made it very digestible. We didn't talk over each other. Oh my God, it was so productive, productive to have that bit of advice. Is profound, really. And that's a real mentor, somebody who can just sort of casually sit you down and boil through what would be a college course for 3 months, and instead just give you the kernel of bit of information that you probably really need to actually apply right now. And that's a real mentor. We love you, Sandy. Do we have somebody join us?
It's taken a huge number of people across all of the different countries in order to, fight and push back against this international madness that's prohibition of cannabis. So it's actually been delightful to meet so many people in this last day. So bring it on. I'm feeling quite refreshed and ready to go fight.
Well, here,
it's
listen.
Not legal here yet, but it's gonna be.
Check this out. A little bit of movement history that I think is pertinent, right? We're coming into California's 420. California was the first marijuana initiative, the first legalization initiative, as I understand it, in the entire world. It was 1971. It was the first Prop 19. Morphia was running it. And that initiative got like 30% of the vote, which was not enough to win, certainly not enough to really be considered a very big number today. But to a government and to a lot of people who thought we were going to get single digits, like 1%, 2%, 3%, getting 30% of a massive state like California was mind-bendingly big. So that actually dictated a lot of changes in the way people look at it, and the way the legislator acted about cannabis all the way through. However, that's the bright side. The low side is there was some, Jack Herer again comes in the story. He's run a lot of the initiatives in between. And in between that initiative, the first one, Prop 19, the first one, and then California's Prop 215, which finally won. As I understand it, there were 13 initiatives, 13 at least annual, if not biannual initiatives. That's a long time, a lot of fighting. Can you imagine? And that was Jack Herer's trenches for over a decade, fighting that fight, unwinnable, ballot after ballot, just totally losing. And then here comes out of left field this idea about medical marijuana. They were floating in San Fran. They've been working around the state a little bit, and it actually wins. It actually wins. People all of a sudden look at this and shook their head in sort of disbelief, but it rewrote the books, Prop 215. And that's California. That's just a snippet of California's, kind of anchor role. Remember I was talking yesterday about, specific activists that played a key role. You pull them out of the mix and something changes on the whole national or international scene. Well, California is kind of like that. It's a puzzle piece in this whole big puzzle.
I got caught up in California. I visited California, and I had family living in California, and I visited California in 1999, and I was snapped on a crop, and I spent time in jail, Shasta County Jail. I remember you well. The sergeant was a great guy, but I remember Shasta County Jail.
Ironic that it's legal now, and
Colorado for deportation from the controlling authorities, the immigration people. So this is a very unusual thing for me to be having a 420 in California. Because of my history in spending time in jail. I learned about blunts for the first time when I was in jail in California. I'd never heard of them before, but my cellmate and I both got released at a similar time, and I was able to hook up, and we were able to share my first blunt. California has some quite good and not so good memories. But a lot of people that I've met from California.
I'm sorry for your bad experience, especially the irony of delivering cannabis medicine and to be, doing something ostensibly legal, but on the margins and getting caught up in that. That's just horrible.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce you to a guest, one of our main team from our club here in New Zealand. Penny. I've told her to put her name up of her business so that she can get international coverage. Her business is called Sugar Tits Floggers. She makes the most fabulous woven, leather whips and handcuffs and such like. I don't know her full range of products, but if you want to know, somebody will introduce you to Penny, and she will ship anywhere in the world. So if you need a good old whipping, she's your girl.
Hey, we got 1 minute till 420 in California.
There you go. We're in California. Where is he? Where's time for him?
It's
I can't believe
420. He's out with the dog.
I hope y'all do this much of a fuss when I miss mine too. This is to Casper. This 420 is to Casper. Flat out period. I mean, the rest of the time goes awesome, but he's the guy.
Counting down, people. I'm counting down. It's 45 seconds, and it'll be 420 in California.
This is to the friendly ghost. That's so apparently.
Casper's going to be a little annoyed. Here we go. 2, 1. Happy 420, California.
Yay. Happy 420.
The rest of the world.
Woo!
420.
Yes.
Wow, it's so beautiful out down there.
Yep, it is beautiful weather at the moment.
Surprisingly warm for autumn.
It's very blue, at least from this angle. The sky looks very blue.
Yeah, not a single cloud in the sky. It's wonderful.
Yep, it's because there's no car exhausts, only cannabis smoke. And it leaves down looking nice and blue.
I think we're gonna chalk up that passing out earlier to a CBD overdose.
Hey, I got an idea for you guys. I found it very interesting last night when it was 4:20 a.m. in Virginia and 4:20 p.m. and wherever the heck it was over there by Russia. I think we should try to the best of our ability to pick out a few key cities in our cannabis movement, and then try to our best of our ability to figure out what is almost exactly across the globe from them, and call them like 420 sister cities, and have them celebrate like on 420. So it's like 4:20 a.m. and 4:20 p.m. in those two places, and they can hang out via Zoom and have a 420 little get together, just them on 420 in two polar opposite places smoking weed together. I don't know. To me, that somehow is very appealing. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
just
it's like Meridian marijuana lines. Or
yeah.
yeah. That's
Look,
awesome.
the best thing about 420 is the people that know the history of 420 and where it came from, and you know the origins of it. The whole concept of 420 is one of the most stupid, absolutely nonsense things that anybody could do, and it's why it's so
No.
appealing to people in the cannabis culture. We just love this nonsense, and here we are celebrating a date that really doesn't have any meaning except it's a good time, any excuse to have a
To get high. Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you see the beauty
We
in
do
that
it at
though?
420 every day somewhere, and we all talk about it
There's two
somewhere at
420s.
420 as an excuse to have a pup at any other time. And here, April the 20th, it's your April the 20th. You've done it. California, April the 20th. It's the big one. It's the big one, April 20th, 2020. I'm losing track of me 20.
Yeah.
I thought I'd throw in a few extra 20s just for Casper when he comes on and finds that he's missed it.
Yeah.
We'll say we gave him a few 20s. About 4 of them, actually.
I used to get points from Casper every time I used the word groovy.
Yeah, I think that shows our age. I quite like that too. Groovy. Man.
Groovy is an awesome word.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So is Jeepers.
It's in the same category as moist. I want to use it on a regular basis.
Watch your mouth, man. This is a family show.
You're right.
There's nothing wrong with moist. It's a great word.
Keep it in
show,
your
right?
mouth. That's all. Yeah. Keep
Yeah,
the
keep-
moisture in your mouth.
Right? We need to turn your microphone off. I'm like, Dakta, stop it. How
I
dare
love
you?
it.
You can go to jail for that nowadays.
Oh, look, there was a comedian many years ago when I was a kid. My dad used to buy long playing records, LPs, of comedians. And there was one comedian that had a series of cleans and dirties. And I only remember one of them. There were words like sailboat is a clean, frigate is a dirty. I thought, yeah, there are words like that.
I don't know. I think it's funny what words are, have to be said the certain way. I live in the Appalachian Mountains. You can't say the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh, see, that's local knowledge that we wouldn't have known.
Yeah. You never really know until you know the local history. Well, like going into Amsterdam and saying that you're in Holland is cool, but don't go to Landgraaf in the south of Netherlands and say you're in Holland. That's not cool.
No.
It's just very local. What words mean is very local.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of differences in the words that Americans use that we use or don't use. For example,
Song.
many years ago, a friend of ours went to visit America, and she told the story of how she decided that she would collect some erasers, novelty erasers, for her daughter as gifts to bring back from America. Except in New Zealand, we don't call erasers erasers.
Oh, I know where this is
Because
going.
they're made of rubber, we call them rubbers. And so she went into a store in America and said, "Could you show me your novelty rubbers?"
Novelty rubbers.
She got
That's
shown a
great.
range of condoms, and that was not what she was looking for her 10-year-old daughter. So words can be very difficult if they're misunderstood and used differently.
That's classic.
Yeah.
It's so classic. Oh my God. I really feel like I've got a much better feel for Earth, and this is just a sampling. We really could flesh this out a lot more, and you know, a lot of places in the middle of the night where it would have been great to have some people inside of Russia or inside of, you know, we have friends in Ukraine, and we have people in Afghanistan, and it was so great to pluck Ben Dronkers out of the middle of the ocean over there, and
How cool was that?
that
Was
was,
in Malaysia, wasn't he?
yeah, Malaysia in the middle
that might have
of,
been the coolest part of the night. Really.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, the whole night, the whole
the whole
experience.
voyage, yeah.
And how do you
Not only
look back on that and reflect? You know what I mean, like so much to reflect on. How do you look back on that successfully and break it all down in like just a little bit of time? You know, like I need like 5 days of reflection on all that.
Oh, and the rest.
Yeah.
I want to be thinking about this and talking about it with others. This has been a magic experience, and which is why I say that we need to not lose contact with all the people that you've had on this platform. We need to be able to keep talking to each other, keep up to date, not for public consumption. That's just because it's the day and we've had some fun, but
I think so. I think
really
for
there's
both.
some serious things that we've
I
all
think
been involved in.
I think there's value in centralizing this conversation, right? Like we're all fighting 3 or 4 different fights with all these inner stigmas and different channels and networks we have. But this is what Time for Hemp is. You know, it's a global network. It's the first and original cannabis broadcasting network, right? So like if we, you know, me and Michael were talking the other day about a real life, legitimate like news crew, right? Like 6 o'clock on, 2 people in suits, you know, this is the news, you know, just like you had your thing. Yeah. And so and so we'd be legitimately pulling up on spots at disaster relief and this and that, and it gives us a lot more opportunity. It gives us a chance to not only have eyes from the public, but have the right eyes on the right material, right? The responsible material, because we're all talking responsibly this whole day, and so have put eyes there, but also give responsible brands an opportunity to market too. I think it's a means for the right platform, and I think we're the ones to do it. That's what we've been building out mentally for the last couple of weeks. I think this is a great first step.
And, you know, I want to say something about the world here. You know, I've been working at the UN level now since '98, and actively working on marijuana issues since 2009. Working at the UN level on drugs, you work with 53 countries on a year-to-year basis that represent the 186 or so that have signed on to the Drug Control Treaty. And those 53 are enough to represent the earth pretty well already. And then you have others that show up at those meetings, usually as many as 100 or 110 countries that are in the house, so to speak. And those little delegations, those little groups of people from each of those countries represent people that are 1 degree of separation and no more than 1 degree of separation away from the very leadership of that country. They've been given the mandate to speak for that country in that room on that day, on that issue, whatever the issues are, you know, there. And having that point of view over the last 20 years or so of the world through that, you know, lens of looking at it from one focal point, from one issue, one focal point, and going around the world in such a convenient and concise way. I didn't realize until just now that if you did that, if you followed us over the last 24 hours, diligently followed through all our craziness and everything over this last day, you'd have a little bit of that feeling, of that view of what the world looks like when you could look at it from a single vantage point, from a single point of view on a single subject matter, and have access to all these people that are real people out there in the real world dealing with the issue on the ground. I don't know. I think it's phenomenal.
And
I think
collectively,
what we're doing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Collectively,
Well put.
Collectively, we've got hundreds and hundreds of years of experience on trying to change an evil law.
Yeah.
And succeeding in many cases. We've all had some little successes. My little beat the police and I get back a vending machine that they shouldn't have taken. That's fun. Not so much fun when they come after you deliberately, though. That's not so much fun.
The vending machine thing, you know, I don't know. The drug warriors have keyed on that. They have, as part of their standard literature, they have this fear that marijuana would become legalized and ... heroin will then be sold in candy machines at the high school. Literally,
Yep.
that's the timeline. You legalize marijuana, or you let people have marijuana, and then ... magic happens, and all of a sudden heroin's being sold in a candy machine. So when you have a candy machine that was selling marijuana, it was like Pavlovian. Really, their response was immediate and unavoidable. I think the fact that you won is very symbolic and very important. But the fact that they went after you was very, very much to be expected given the circumstances, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went after a club in Southern California who had a candy machine. When I say they, the whole world keyed on it for a little while. It was in the major media. The UN watchdogs, the International Narcotics Control Board wrote about it, and they talked about it at the UN. And you know what it was? It was nothing more than a machine, probably a lot like the way yours was. You had to be a member to get anywhere near the machine. And then it was just a way for you to, almost as a novelty, to avoid the line or to avoid looking, going up to the counter and just put some money in the machine and getting a small packet of marijuana. It was really nothing more than a convenience to members who are already card carrying, had gone through major security to get in, but yet they had a conniption about those bloody machines. And now it's funny, now we have full-blown legalization. Canada, probably the most notable example, and it's for the most part fairly quiet at the UN level.
Yeah. They don't want to
really
talk about
is.
that.
Well, there was talk about it. I mean, when it first happened, when back during the UNGAS, which is the United Nations General Assembly Special Session, UNGAS, they have these big, huge summits. They call them UNGAS. This one is UNGAS on Drugs, 2016. And we had Jamaica there talking about their ambitious, cannabis reforms, had Canada there talking about their program. And it was just great. It was wonderful stuff they were saying. And then Russia gets up there and just yelled at them, and then they left and said, okay, we had a nice meeting. Thanks for all your input. We have consensus. And we're like, consensus? We have consensus? So that's where we're at right now, is this netherworld of these countries are arguing about cannabis, but it's a very surreal argument. It's not escalating because of the fact that USA is vicariously leading the argument. I guess it's not escalating in the way it usually would.
I want to show you a little victory that we had. We don't have many. When we have a win over the police, it doesn't happen very often. But when we do want to make something of it. And I want to show you a little movie. I did mention it at the beginning of this program, like 15 hours ago or something. But this is when we had our vending machine taken. Our cannabis vending machine was taken from the Dakta, which is our cannabis club in Auckland. And we had a trial, we had a court case over it, and we won. And we proved that a police sergeant had told lies when he was on the stand. So I want to play this for you now because it's an interesting little 2 minutes. Here we go. And this shows off our bus beautifully. So let me show you what we're doing here. Let me get this up. Here we go. And we're inside the police station. Same hat.
You New Zealanders move awkward.
Here we go. Police are bringing back our vending machine.
Oh, nice.
Here we go.
That's too great.
They broke the law.
cannabis vending machine seized by police has been returned to its owners after a court ruled the officer in charge acted unlawfully. And the owners, who used to run a cannabis club called the Dakta, have now laid a complaint of perjury against the officer. Simon Shep reports.
From police custody, the machine that used to have pride of place in a cannabis club.
It was stolen in March of 2012 from the Dakta by a sergeant who broke the law.
That sergeant authorized the seizure of the empty machine plus $27,000 and 700 grams of cannabis without a search warrant.
He destroyed a club that was of huge benefit to the community. Yeah, it was against the law.
Club surname is Laws, testified he was there for a social visit and allowed in. After reviewing the security footage, a district court found the police entry into the Dakta was a trespass. As a result, they were inside the club unlawfully. Therefore, the evidence obtained is inadmissible at trial. 3 News asked Waitemata Police whether they will be appealing the judge's decision or dropping the outstanding charges now that the evidence is inadmissible, but police declined to make any comment on the case. One of those charged over the raid, Gazella Van Klicht, has now laid a complaint against Sergeant Laws.
Because the sergeant committed perjury on the stand.
The machine is not going back into service. The Dakta has closed down. Members are planning new clubs. Until then, it's on display at Auckland's Hemp store, empty. Simon Shepherd, 3 News.
It's awesome.
Sergeant Laws. There it is. That's our. We've only got a couple of news channels in this country, and that was on one of them. Sergeant Laws broke the law.
That's cool, man.
It's classic.
They wouldn't have put that in America. That would never be a headline in America.
We got our vending machine.
America's too big.
Too fucking
A
phony.
tiny little country, which is why it made national news.
We're a little country with a big bus. Hey, what a cool looking bus. We had 3 of those at our peak. 3 buses traveling around the country with legalized cannabis splashed down the sides.
We had a case after Prop 215. Sister Samaya was using cannabis, if I remember correctly, for sickle cell anemia. And she had her cannabis seized from her after Prop 215. It was, for medical marijuana. And she presented her evidence in court and she won. And she got a court order to get her cannabis back from the police. And it was one of those early cases, one of the very first times where the police, probably in the entire US history, ever had to hand back marijuana to a civilian. And it was like inside of a watch, where all the little gears and everything work in perfect harmony, unless you try to turn one backwards, and then the whole bloody thing seems to have to retool. And that's what it seemed like, the handing back that marijuana to her made the system kind of have to retool. And I think, it's the same kind of thing with that machine. These are symbolic moments in our movement's history that can't be overstated in their importance.
Yeah, agreed.
Just to clarify, looking at the time, we've got plenty of time for the next 420, but it has to be Alaska, surely.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's it.
Anything else in that time zone?
You go one time zone past then, you get Hawaii, but that's we could pull in Hawaii and celebrate it with Alaska and call it our last one.
They're not the same time zones.
No, that's Alaska's first, and then Hawaii's next one.
I think we'll go to Hawaii the following one.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next 2 hours taken care of.
Well,
Somewhere it's got to be Fiji, doesn't it? I don't know where they are. Where do they fit? Let's have a look.
Let me see.
Well, we got a treat coming up here. We got Paul Stanford and Ernie Cefalu at the same time.
Cool. Yeah, we're coming up on Fairbanks. And then the next one after that, we got Alaska. Yeah, Honolulu is after Fairbanks. And then after that, we get Baker Island,
Going for a couple.
Midway, Adak, Chatham Islands. You're way out there. After you hit Hawaii, boy, you're out there in the Pacific. You don't realize how far Hawaii is from the U.S. mainland until you fly there.
No. What time is it in? So it's 2 hours back. What time is it now? 4:42.
It's 4:20 in California right now. 4:20 in Oregon. 4:40 in Oregon.
Okay. So I need to get him on this. Nowish. Seven. So I'm about to send Paula. Man, this is too much today. This is too much.
The next one, yeah, next one coming up, we got Juneau, Alaska. That's cool. Anchorage. I wonder how the time zones would be laid out if you get one of those more accurate maps. Because the modern map is kind of skewed politically, as I understand it.
Yeah, it is. Substantially. That's the only thing I know about time zones. So Paul Stanford should be on here real quick, like.
You hear the bird. So is Casper seriously still walking his dog?
Yeah, it's code. Just leave it at that.
Either way, it's a long time, man.
That's so funny.
Either way, this much time might cause a rash.
That's every day, though. It's so every day. It's maddening.
California.
That's funny. Oh, Ben Scales is so too. Golly. This is way too much today. This is crazy.
What would you think if they came out with some kind of thing where they could give people a pill and it would put them in sort of a stasis and they'd sleep for 2 weeks and it would kill the virus out while everybody just slept in the whole country? Is that too science fiction to even consider? I think that's a fun thought.
That'd be working on the principle that, like, I trust anybody in government anywhere. Like, even one person. You have to find one person I trust in government, and you couldn't do that.
Well, you'd have to have the government would have to still be running. It would be essential personnel, like ambulance. Everybody would.
Oh, hell no.
Everybody be set up, hooked up to their cell phone as their heart monitor. Make sure people weren't dropping out while they were sleeping.
You can go first. I'll go second.
Yeah, you go.
Do you guys have daylight saving? Do you change your clocks by an hour each summer, fall?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah, we just changed a couple of weeks ago. We've come to the end of summer, so our clocks go back an hour. And I suggested to the government that they can control the clocks. They're the ones that dictate that the clocks go forward an hour or back an hour. So why don't they just put the clocks forward 4 weeks? And we can wake up tomorrow and there'll be no virus because we will have killed it by being asleep for 4 weeks. But no one took me seriously. I don't know what time space continuum is all about, really. I have trouble with these things. It's what time where?
I love it. We came up with the same idea from 2 different points of view, I think. It's hysterical.
Yeah, sleep for 4 weeks. That'll solve it.
But it is it's a rather short window. You know, the virus has I guess there's like a 14-day window. I was telling Kenzie when we were having a discussion, I said the world's going to change basically every 14 days until we get through this. But
Yep.
that's a short window. You know, several cycles of 14 days is still just a couple of months. So, you know, 2-3 months is a very, very long time in pandemic time, I guess.
We're finding in this country, because we went fast and early, we've had very few illnesses for the size of our country on a per head of population basis. And we're on track to eradicate the virus. And we've done that because we could see as a population that if we all stay home for 4 weeks, that's 2 cycles of the virus. We're now at the end of that, and our infections have dropped dramatically.
It's like Mother Nature's main thing, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Wow, I'm going to stop talking because Paul Stanford has just joined us. Paul Stanford. I've never met you, Paul, but your name has been synonymous with law reform for as long as I've been involved in the campaign, and I've been doing this for more than 20 years. So welcome, you legend.
Well, thank you. Nice to virtually meet you. Dakta.
Yes,
And,
that's
good
the
seeing
best we can hope for, isn't it?
there. Hey, I don't know how many others are there. Gary
Happy
Happy
Chop.
420.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, man. Good. No complaints. How's your 420 been?
Just us in the little old world.
Good.
I'm gonna hop off and get Ernie real quick. You guys have at it.
What?
You guys, I'm gonna hop off and get Ernie real quick.
Okay.
You guys have at it.
Nice to meet you.
I'll be right back. I got questions for you out the WAP.
Okay.
Sweet.
So happy 420 on 420.
Yeah. It's
449. Your time, I guess.
What is your location, Paul? Whereabouts are you right now?
I am in Portland, Oregon, in my office.
Of course, Portland.
Yeah, Portland,
Right.
Oregon.
My favorite city. When I visited,
It's one of those bicycle cities I was talking about. I was saying, Paul, that it's some sort of coincidence, or maybe not a coincidence, that some of my favorite cities happen to be really cool cannabis cities, but they're also really cool cities, and they're really cool bicycle cities. And I don't know if that's a coincidence or not.
Hey, well, you know, really cool cities generally have a lot of bicyclists, I think, you know.
Yeah.
I don't do it enough anymore. I used to be a bicyclist, but
we have a lot of stoners that can't afford a car because they have to pay too much for their weed.
They ride a bicycle.
that's true. That's true.
There you go.
But our prices have come down here with legalization in Oregon anyway.
Right.
That's good.
I keep telling people in New Zealand, don't think there's going to be a fortune to be made here. Stop thinking that you're going to put in a grow room and pay off your mortgage in a week. It's not going to work that way.
Yeah.
Under legalization, the prices will be as cheap as tomatoes or cabbages.
It's not quite that cheap yet, but it's getting there.
It's getting there. Yeah.
How you faring under the pandemic? What's up your way?
You know, I might have had the flu or I might have had the COVID back in February. But I had a fever. My wife had a fever. We both had bad chest congestion, cough. Lasted about 2 weeks. You know, I don't know. I don't know anybody who's been hospitalized by it personally here in Portland. We haven't had a big spike. They closed everything down when it hit up in Seattle. So I was in Seattle when the first person died up there. My daughter moved up there, and she's been in quarantine for quite a while. But her job lends itself to working at home, so it works out well for her.
I could see you wearing a T-shirt. I'm a COVID survivor.
I don't know if it's COVID though, so who knows when they'll have
You could claim it. You could claim it. I'd give you that.
Maybe not.
But you're looking good now, man. We're glad.
Thanks. You are too, bro.
So this has been a little bit of an adventure. We were just talking about it before you joined, going around the world, basically time zone to time zone, trying to catch 420 at each stop. And it's just been a really amazing way to embrace Earth and to visit with the cannabis community. And as Casper would say, spread love and try to help each other out through this time, and give each community that we pass through a little bit of contact and love, and try to connect everybody in this time of separation.
Yeah.
I think this platform that we're using, Zoom, it's been quite delightful to take 24 hours to Zoom around the world.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard a lot. I've used it in the past, but I haven't used it lately. And so I just opened it up for the first time in a couple of, well, maybe 3 or 4 years.
I'm told their stock value has increased dramatically since everybody's been locked down. Even our government in New Zealand has been having their official cabinet meetings via Zoom. So every time people talk about it, it's another advertisement for Zoom. Good on them.
Yes, so.
It's working for us.
Or we're streaming. It says here we're live on Facebook. So there's an advertisement for them. So they can sell advertisements and our information. But how do you get around it?
There's actually
your own Facebook.
Just talk about the platforms that are rebroadcasting mainstream media items, that the platforms like Facebook and Twitter and so on should actually pay something towards the cost of their journalism. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting conversation and point of view that's just come up in the last few days because of media everywhere is suffering greatly. We've got media that are closing down here. I guess the same thing's going to happen around your neck of the woods as well.
Oh, it's been closing down and tons of papers, but even before the pandemic. But with the closing of all the businesses, all the small publications that relied on local advertisers cannot get local advertisers. Nobody's buying advertising. Everything's falling apart in that area, and they won't restart in most cases because people are saying, "Oh, we don't need to do it." Yeah, I think you're right. It's a dramatic shift. Strange times. I am always the optimist, so I am hopeful that we'll see this as the catalyst for change. You know, I had advocated for the now defunct campaign of Bernie Sanders here for U.S. president and changing our government. Now we've got the status quo guy against the ultimate populist chaos insider. You know, so we'll see what happens. But I'm hopeful we'll get rid of the orange Cheeto guy. And
I don't want to get all political because it's your election, but from an outsider point of view, I mean, realistically, the president of the United States is the president of the free world. America has that type of clout. But I have to say that I was comforted to see the Twitter feed for Biden and Bernie when Bernie came onto his Twitter feed, and I sat here and, you know, little old New Zealand looking at that and thinking, yeah, okay, this looks good. This looks good. They were saying the right things to each other. That's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens.
I think a lot of Bernie's programs will be picked up by the Biden because he'll be part of it. It's where they're going.
Well, the government's just exploded, so there's a lot of different things that could be done a lot better here and everywhere else in the world. So personally, I think that the office of presidency is anti-democratic, and the U.S. Senate is. I think both of them should be abolished. So that's a pretty radical idea. A lot of people talk about abolishing our electoral college. I don't think that goes far enough. I don't think we need a president anymore. I think we should just have one unicameral legislature that doesn't really have a leader except elected by the people. We can decide these laws ourselves now. We don't need representatives. I think we need to limit representative government.
You don't need a three-legged government, you're saying. You need a two-legged government.
Yeah, I think we still need courts, but I don't think we need this all-powerful executive. That's where a lot of danger lies in all these different government systems.
The danger lies there if you just choose the wrong person.
Yeah, exactly. And inevitably it's going to happen, especially when the elections are swayed in undemocratic, non-democratic ways through manipulating the vote or the access to the vote. That's what
some may argue it's already happened in America. So
it's where it I think that America's always been kind of a fascist government. A lot of the Nazi party copied policies in America. A lot of the racist eugenic policies that the Nazis copied came from America, and American racism and Jim Crow. And we've got to completely reform it, I think. And it's never been there's no really good time to go back and look at. I think the New Deal of FDR was probably the brightest thing we've seen, in U.S. history since, it's never been really good. If you go back even to before World War II, we were throwing our muscle around in Central America and doing it on behalf of our corporations. I think we've got to take power away from government and give it and away from collectives. I think this is really the positive message. It's that we've got to disempower collectives and empower individuals so that we all own our own DNA and we all have more rights than collectives. I think if the individual has more rights than the collective and we have a just elected judiciary, not one appointed for life, that we can see change.
What do you think, Paul?
We don't have a lot of time, though.
What do you think the future holds, Paul, in light of the current world crisis of a pandemic? Lots of people are saying, wouldn't it be great if this actually does change the way when we come out of it? Now, we know there's going to be a lot of changes. We will not go back to the way it was. There's going to be a major upset with tourism activities. People are not going to want to travel around the world. Even if they're able to, they won't want to. The question is, how do you see, and I'm not talking about related to cannabis only, as a society, how do you think this will change, hopefully for the better, or is it going to just deteriorate into a Mad Max type world where the gun and the tanker of fuel is all important? Is that where we're going to end up? Or do we have a brighter future?
I certainly hope we have a brighter future. We're seeing exponential growth in technology and the power of that. And that's basically unstoppable. And so the question is, do we give corporations more power than individuals. We give corporations an infinite lifetime, really. A corporate charter could potentially immortal, even though I guess some of the oldest ones like GE in the United States are, they have limited lives. But again, I think the problem is that the oligarchy has too big a control of the political system. They've been married for a long, long time. I don't know exactly where it's going. I can only advocate that specific policies locally, like legalizing marijuana. I think the initiative process we have here in the United States and Switzerland, that gives us input into making incremental changes. It's slow, it's expensive, but I think that is, and that it has a potential. But where we're going to go,
it's that incremental.
I'm afraid of the works, though.
The incremental change that you refer to, that's the way life has been.
Yeah.
We fight for these changes, and you win a little bit and you lose a little bit, and hopefully at the end of your life you've won more than you've lost in whatever it is that you want to achieve in your life. But there is nothing incremental about this. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and hopefully over the coming months that will disappear. It won't disappear completely, but let's say that we can find a way of controlling it. The world can't possibly rebuild back to where it was before. And it's a question of where we focus our efforts.
We've got to change the energy base. Obviously, hemp and solar are part of that, I think, and getting away from poisoning the planet and wiping out everything but people. And in the end, that's just going to wipe us out too, So I think it's our job to preserve as much of our biological and cultural diversity as possible for future generations. And so everybody wants to pass on their culture to their offspring, children. And I think that should be encouraged, and that we need that diversity of thought and culture and language and everything. And, technology can bridge those gaps,
Yep. That's right.
Okay. Well, guys.
Oh, you're hiding away. Are you behind the sign?
I've been working behind the scenes, is what you call
Oh,
this.
yeah,
Thank you
okay.
very much.
You want to talk?
No.
We want to see you.
So Casper's coming on right now. I'm going to join him. And
Okay.
so we'll be on just a sec. Ernie said he's on the phone. He's going to hit the link as soon as he gets done.
Well, we're 15 minutes from Alaska 420.
Uh-oh. Yes.
Uh-oh.
My 24th of the day. Great.
Yeah.
If I was smoking marijuana and not hemp, I'd be done for.
I'm pretty
Really?
high here right now, I'll tell you.
Paul, you're awesome. That's awesome.
The people in the background here doing edibles too. I've just baked mainly. I smoked the joint to start with.
Yeah. I find that edibles can be too dangerous.
Yeah.
The control of them can be difficult.
You gotta know who you're dealing with there, I guess. Hey.
All right. Good stuff. How's everybody doing?
Very well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. What time zone are you in? Are you in California?
I'm in Oregon, so it's Pacific time. It's California time. Are you in Dallas?
Me? Yeah, I'm in Dallas.
That's where I grew up.
Really? What part?
Garland and Central Dallas,
Okay. Yeah. I'm
I
familiar.
lived there until I was 15 in 75. And I was just back there for the Texas Hemp Convention.
Oh, yeah, THC.
Yeah, I was there for that. Gave a few different talks at the Texas Hemp Convention in January.
Yeah, I remember THC. I did some good. I made some good contacts at THC. I like that a lot. The actual
You're
event
looking
kind of
in
rubbed me the wrong way.
flyer, I'm the keynote speaker because I was proud to come back to Dallas and be a keynote speaker. I was surprised.
That had been good retribution for you. How'd that make you feel?
Really good, really good. I've done a lot of speaking, but not as a keynote all that often. Only once before in Spain.
Well, in some ways, you're our keynote here. You're our last guest, and we had you come on for a reason at this particular time. This whole thing, for real, since we started it, and I know they've been talking about it, it's really epic to have everybody be a part of this conversation in the fashion that they have. And you're just all the much appropriate to have right here at this spot as well, too. Your career has been, I mean, just stellar, for real. Like you built the reputation that you need to build. And I feel like a lot of people moving forward, a lot of activists, in my opinion, they could be taking more action. But I think that's a marker of our movement is like, hey, we don't, we like talking about it, but not everybody could have walked the walk. So what advice would you give, or what traits do you see that are really indicative of strong activists since you've dealt with so many of them in your lifetime?
Somebody who is inspired by their has a passion for their cause. That's a big one. I met many, a whole variety of activists, and seen myself and others mature over the years. It's just someone who wants to see things change and wants to implement that change and help see that along. That's a big part of it.
What do you think? What do you think is the separating factor in that follow through? Like for yourself, what was it? What fuels your passion for the industry? I mean, past the love for the plant, we all like to get high and do our thing. But when you're that big of an activist, you got a deeper cause.
Well, I just read that about the history of cannabis, and I realized that we're right. And I saw specifically that a lot of social change in the 60s and 70s was stopped by planting drugs on people and putting them in jail, like Abby Hoffman and others that had drugs planted on them. And in fact, Richard Nixon even said that was the reason they created the war on drugs, was to suppress leftists and African American communities. Nixon said it explicitly when he passed the Controlled Substances Act in '72. I'm sure Michael could tell us more about that too.
Yeah, right.
But, it started with the international treaties before that, but
I like all that answer. Honestly, it's so socially responsible of you. As far as just your outlook goes on everything. When did you start? When was your official start to the industry or the activism?
Well, I guess when you say your official start, it's like, do you mean like the first time I used cannabis, or when I first went to a marijuana event?
Yeah. I think when you first went to a marijuana event with the intent, when you felt like an activist, like before you always use it. Yeah.
Well, in 1978, a week after my 18th birthday, I went to the Washington Smoke-In in Washington, D.C. I lived in Asheville, North Carolina at the time.
I love Asheville.
Oh, yeah. I lived there from the time I lived in Dallas, from 75 till 81, pretty much.
That's a lot.
Washington, D.C. is not too far, and I heard about it, and so I went and checked it out. And I was inspired. I met a number of people that I didn't realize who they were at the time, but I saw them, and then later became involved with the hippies. Another big epiphany for me, or life-changing event, was reading Abby Hoffman's book, soon to be a major motion picture. And it talked about, the anti-war movement and marijuana legalization, things I believed in even as a youngster, and seeing my community around me. So I contacted, it said at the end of that book, if you want to get involved with the yippies, contact Dana Beal at 9 Bleecker Street in New York City. And so I sent him a letter, and I got sent these stacks of Overthrow magazine and listed in the back of it. And then that led me during a break at Evergreen State College, where I was attending school, to go down to LA. And I met Jack Hare and his partner, Captain Ed Adair, and Tom Hayden and Jane Fonda, and some of the other Chicago conspiracy people. And I've been on the trail ever since. What can I say?
Yeah.
I've been working at it pretty much full time since '84. I wouldn't have considered it an industry, really.
Yeah, I thought, for lack of a better word, I think is what I was using there. You know, movement, culture, things that same thing where I was like. But once again, my brain is mush. I've talked to so many influencers today, like trying to record all this information in my head. I told them earlier, I got a great book idea. I'm almost going to put out like the Think and Grow Rich, like Napoleon Hill aspect of activism, though. You know, like grow rich emotionally. You know what I mean? Like as far as it goes, grow rich as a human, grow rich in self-worth and self-love through the same traits that you can notably notice in a lot of these activists that we've spoken with, from the humbleness to the sense of the loss of sense of us, so loss of ego, is highly reflected there too, which I think that goes along with love and empathy. And you know, just I haven't worked it all out in my head. Just be ready for the book 2022. All right, it's coming out.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, and so I might hit you up for a foreword if you like to do that, so we see what's going on. But I got Casper right here.
Write the book first.
Yeah. Hey, listen, when I say I'm going to do something, I do it every time. You know that to be true, because this thing, like, what's the thing? You know what I'm talking about?
Hey,
Like,
look at this. Look at this.
I don't half-ass. It's all whole. I'm all whole ass, no half-ass, all whole ass.
Yep.
Yeah. So here he is.
I'm texting Casper right now.
All whole ass. I love it.
Whole ass, baby.
Haul ass. We used to say haul ass when we wanted to get somewhere fast back in the day in New York.
We still say that now.
Mhm.
That's timeless. Casper, I wonder what he's going to be wearing.
Oh, dun 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 dun.
What's Casper going to be wearing?
He just sent me a text link on the address here. I texted him the same time I had you about how do I find the Zoom thing? Oh, there's the number.
Casper just woke up.
He's going to be much impressed with, because remember, I was jacking stuff up when he was, my first 5 hours of this thing was like horrible, but I made a comeback.
Oh, I've been helping out. We're all doing different.
Anyway, we got a bunch of hats we're wearing, you know? It came together. Nice.
Should have got a hat, I guess.
We're 5 minutes from Alaska.
You should have. 5 minutes from Alaska? 5 minutes from Alaska. Got him.
So I'm firing up my volcano here to get my vapor back going again. So
nice.
I don't consume cannabis online.
that's okay.
Bail
Legal here.
I have serious bail conditions, and the police are watching everything I do online. So, as a protest to that, I actually stopped casting my video when we lead up to a 420, just so that they don't know what I'm doing. Because who the hell cares?
Yeah, it's a shame they're persecuting you like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we get all of our guests on today? Did all of our guests make it?
Mostly all of our guests made it for sure. It was a overwhelming success.
All right, I got it. When I woke up, there was a note from Ben Scales. He hadn't made it on, and Mark didn't know how to get on. And Paul, I didn't know if Paul got on, but he was gonna have his time. Did he get on in time? Did you get on to enjoy your chat with Ernie, Paul?
Ernie hasn't got on yet.
I haven't seen Ernie yet, but I'm here.
All right, well, let's get Ernie on while Paul's on so they can have a great chat.
I've been at that. I called Ernie. He's getting off the phone. He is on a phone call, so they're going to use the link as soon as he gets in, or as soon as he gets over with it. Ben Skills, I just sent him the link. Told him to get on if he would like to as well. So everybody's been contacted.
Did Mark Emery make it?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Did he send me any love? That bitch.
Who the hell's Casper, he said. We had to explain to him who you were. We had to describe you to him. Oh, he didn't understand. Little short man that's old. He didn't understand. Oh, I don't know anybody that fits that description, he said.
I'm the one that looks like a Muppet in Heat. So, Paul, what have you been up to?
Teresa agreed.
No, I just
Get that fast. No, just stop the voice.
I had a video of him. I can't
I'm
share it.
doing well. I mean,
Yeah, give my love to Teresa. What have you been up to lately?
Various speaking gigs, but those all are out the window right now. I think I would have been in Puerto Vallarta right now at the May and Hayes event if it wasn't for the pandemic. But, we're still helping a few marijuana patients and just keep on keeping on. How about you? I heard you're moving to Phoenix?
Oh, well, I'm thinking about doing that if it happens. I don't know.
Drop.
I don't like to talk about a lot of things until they're actually for sure happening.
Okay.
But
Good luck.
it would be Tucson. It would be Tucson.
Oh yeah. That's better, I hear.
Oh yeah, and I've got
It's all hot.
yeah, I love it. I've been there before, and so yeah, there's a little project down there that might have my attention. But my fingers are crossed. There's some people trying to raise some funds for it, and if the funds get raised for it, I'm pulling out of Portland, and I'll be arriving in Tucson within 6 weeks.
I'm getting photobombed here.
How you doing, Casper?
Fine. Happy
Hey.
420.
Happy 420, brother.
Thank you.
In 2 minutes, it'll be 420 in Alaska.
Really? Oh.
All right. Well, we're here with you.
Nice.
What about Hawaii? Are they 2 or 3 hours off right
Oh, we got another hour before Hawaii.
now?
We're smoking that one too. They all get the business.
Okay.
I like how you got that weed mural behind you. I got mine too.
This guy, I see that. There's several of them. I had this guy come in and paint it. Rapizzi. There's a signature right there. Rapizzi. He donated it. I can only be.
I think a buddy of mine knows him. Is he pretty popular?
Yeah, he's pretty popular.
My buddy owns a couple of dispensaries up in Oregon, and I believe he did his building.
Oh,
before,
yeah.
too.
Probably so. He's done a lot of dispensaries in Oregon.
Okay.
But usually they pay him. He came in and donated this one because I couldn't afford to pay.
You're Paul Stanford. Like, what do you mean? You got to get donated to. Let's, it's at least anybody can do for sure. That's awesome. I like it. It's really good work. What's the purple around it? Is that just like the order of the plant?
It's just a little psychedelic thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of this guy. One of his symbols is watermelon, and so if you look in there, you can kind of see some watermelon thing going on. I didn't realize it at first.
I like the color. I like the color palette. It's amazing.
Yeah, you did a good job.
All right, how
can't
we
get
looking?
back on, guys, for some reason. I can't get my camera to come back on. What's going
Yeah,
on
and
here?
your avatar is like 30 years younger. You need to update that avatar too. I'm like, who's the
Probably
sexy
got to
guy?
be
in the
on your
cowboy
head,
hat?
Dakta, because our cameras are on.
I don't know how to turn it on. I can't get onto the camera to turn the camera on.
Uh-oh.
I
Well,
see
then-
your picture though.
Log out and log back in and see if that helps.
Send an email to support@420.com.
Hang on. I can see what I'm doing here.
Oh, there you are.
Here we go.
There you
I was
go.
trying to do it in the wrong place.
So, Paul, with the pandemic, are you doing reruns? Are you going to the studio by
Story of my
yourself,
life.
or
Trying to do it in the wrong place.
420
doing your
Alaska.
shows now?
Cheers.
420 Alaska?
It is. It's 420 right now.
It's
All right, 420
420.
Alaska. Smoke if you got them.
420 Alaska.
No, we got 30 seconds.
Go Juno. Go.
We'll make it. No, not this big guy.
Anyway, Paul, are you doing reruns? Are you going down to the studio by yourself? How you doing your
The
shows?
studio is closed. The studio is closed. Anytime the school system closes, the studio closes.
So they don't
So
even let you
we-
go in there and set up your reruns or anything.
Yeah, we're doing it online now. So, and I'm doing the newscast right here in front of this mural. This week's will be the 4th one.
All right.
And so I'm doing a little hemp newscast here, and Aiko is popping it on to archive footage. I think last week he played a lot of the Herbivores playing at the Hempstock Festival. I know he's got a 2010 show from John Trudell that he's put, and he intersplices other things, so it mixes it up, for that. But I'm doing the news here in the office. Can't do it live, so it's not as fresh, but I still doing it, plugging away. 23 and a half years plus and going.
Good golly. This is my 30th year.
Yeah.
Jack Hare hired me 30 years ago next month on the 8th.
My birthday's on the 9th.
So
just a big day for you.
I'm toying with the broadcasting network. I think it's still happening. I don't know. Originally I was just going to be doing Veterans Voices news shows because Michael and Al and friends are all excited about doing broadcasts. Yay! And I decided I'd probably do like one show a month, new, and then record.
My vapor bag.
Cool. And then I would take some out of my archives and rework them so they sound new. And this little project might actually kick Time for Hemp back off into high gear in a way I didn't expect. So I might be doing more live shows and more new broadcasting, and all the things that I hope to do with the network might actually start coming to fruition. So fingers crossed. I don't know. This little event seemed to spark a little attention towards my little work. And those who know me know that when I use the word little, it's big. And because that annoys the people who promote me. They hate it when I call it a little project, when it's a global event. But so just maybe something good will come of this. I don't know. I know I've been working my ass off to raise the voice of the cannabis movement for a long time. So it would be nice to find new avenues, new audiences, and new platforms to get those voices up on to be heard. So fingers
if you
crossed.
only knew what happened while you were sleeping.
I'm sorry, what?
If you only knew what happened while you were sleeping, you'd be losing it right now.
Yeah, was it a good 8 hours?
I don't know. Dak, do you think it was any good? Do you think?
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was major. Like we got Mark Emery when Dak showed Mark Emery that video, and I got a video of his face with that video. Oh, I almost lost it there. I almost lost my shit. Like I was like, oh, hold it in, hold it down. Mark was like, that's a nice video. That's wonderful. I was like, oh my God. What?
Did he like it?
Well, one thing's for sure. I know Paul and I have worked together. Paul knows that magic can happen at Time for Hemp, right, Paul?
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Well, I was hoping to get Ernie on in time. I don't know, Paul. We would like for you to stay for however long you can stay, but I was hoping to get Ernie on earlier than that. So if he doesn't pop up, and
I'm connecting the power to this phone. As you can tell, looks like you guys are all on a set camera there. Mine is being held in my hand. So.
Oh.
I've been there.
Hold your hand that steady, and you've had children. No, I think most parents are probably like, by the time you're your age, they're all shaking.
I had 3 children for breakfast. They're lovely.
All right, Tom Hanks.
My hat is off to anybody who can raise a child and still stay sane.
We are. All right. Well, we graduated as they did.
So, Paul, what else have you been up to? I mean, we haven't had a chance to see one another we live in the same town, but jeepers, we're just so busy. We don't get a chance to hang out much. So what else you been up to?
We're still working with doctors and seeing medical marijuana patients. So we're still certifying much fewer these days, medical marijuana patients. And I was in Guadalajara for a couple of events, the Cannabis Summit. They flew Teresa and I down there for that at the University of Guadalajara on the campus That was March the 12th. And then on March the 14th, the folks at the Cannafest in Guadalajara put on a seminar. So I get a couple of classes on indoor growing and harvesting and curing cannabis. And I went and I transplanted some plants a couple days ago in my own little garden, preparing to put my medical marijuana plants out in about 2 or 3 weeks. Still growing medical marijuana on a much smaller scale than I did in the past, but you know, it's good to have, and it's a lot cheaper than buying it. I like doing it. And so that's about it, you know.
Well, I had mentioned at the top of this show, what was that one, 30 hours ago or something. This is, I think, one of the longest live broadcasts. I know, at least in hemp history. Huh?
Amazing. You're doing like 30-hour stretch?
Yes, we started at 8 o'clock last night, Pacific Standard Time. And then after the last 420, Martell's got like 2 or 3 hours of all the music videos that our artists sent us for like an after concert. I think we're going clear to midnight tonight. Is that right, Martell?
We got so much content. We can put out straight video content for like another 3-4 hours past like being on air. Like, it's crazy.
So we're going to about midnight, 1 o'clock. All live broadcasts, all on the internet, all around the world with amazing activists like you and Dakta and Martell and Mark Emery.
I haven't even allowed for the half hour it's going to take me to do my striptease.
That's it.
Oh, man.
And, right. And sending love all around the world and bringing the cannabis movement together.
There'll be no love when I do that.
And putting a big circle around the planet. Mary Lynn Mathery and Al Burns pointed out to me right before we went on that they called it historic. So that was pretty cool. You know, Time for Hemp has done a lot of historic things. Hi, Teresa.
Teresa's doing the photo bomb now.
How you doing, beautiful? Miss you. Good to see you.
Oh, you too. Good to see
But I was
you all.
telling.
Happy 420.
Thank you. Happy 420. I was telling people at the top of the hour how you and the 420 crew here in Portland, Oregon, paid to get me and my 3 dogs and motorcycle out of Indiana and safely into Oregon, and secured me a spot here where I could continue and thrive with the show. And so, yeah, I've given kudos along the way. I thought you might want to know that.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep doing the same.
Yep. And we have certainly appreciated having you around. Now,